on carbon use, and so I guess I guess they expected. I guess they feared this could happen. I don't think even in Japan they expected this would happen. Certainly because there's another psychological stream, if you will, and that is things in Japan aren't. I mean,
they work.
They work.
Japan works.
And one of the fascinating and I think one of the reasons that initially the coverage was of this terrible earthquake was less complete and less accurate than it might have been in the very early stages, was everybody assumes that all of Japan is either Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka. There is a more kind of remote, rural Japan of which this is a part, where it's tougher to get information in and out, and quite frankly, people know less about.
Striker, people are now saying, in nuclear terms, it's worse than 3 Mile Island, and there's not been a single nuclear power plant commissioned in the United States in 3 Mile Island. Is that right? Something like that.
Something like that.
But I mean,
there have been a lot commissioned in a lot of other
places. Although, as we know this week, China, Germany, other countries are looking again at different aspects of their policies to do. So, I mean, do you think this is going to set back those who thought that now they had won some of the environmental arguments because of carbon, and that we were going to have in this country, for example, new build nuclear power?
Well, it definitely will set it back. I think the real question is for how long. But it will set it back. I mean, you can see them; they're all running for cover. All the people who support nuclear energy, and yet there is, there are, as you say, there are logical arguments in favor of nuclear power. However, you can't separate nuclear power from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, it's in every.
I mean, the only thing I would say, I would make the argument, which no doubt the industry will make before too long, and that is the argument shouldn't be nuclear power or not nuclear power, but nuclear reactor design. And basically, I don't think we'll see. The one thing I would say very quickly is there was this trend to kind of refurbish old nuclear power stations to save money. I think that's done.
Right.
I think the horror of these must have been much more than the tragedy it has caused in Japan. People need to start thinking, if Japan, that is supposed to be most equipped, best placed to deal with such a tragedy of nuclear science, is in total meltdown and chaos in terms, you can see they're in very basic ways trying to pour water on these things like that. Then, how about other countries? So many other countries. Iran, South Africa, and so on, are trying to get all these nuclear things. Many African countries want to get those things. I think that this takes us back to, say, nuclear weapons. Human beings were very good at creating advanced science. But nobody knew what would happen if, for example, those nuclear weapons were used. We need to start thinking, if we want to advance in science, have also thoughts about how we deal with those things.
I mean, one part of the argument will be, and we've seen these two huge, terrible news stories this week. If you don't have nuclear power, you have to perhaps rely on oil being pumped from places like Libya and Saudi Arabia and so on, where you then have to deal with whoever's in power.
But that's why, going back to Libya, 80 to 85% of the oil supplies of Europe comes from Libya. So that's the,
Well, it does explain why people might have holidays there, or have associations with it, or have grants to their universities, as we see from distinguished institutions here. But I mean, that is the dilemma. Do we want, to take Britain's case, do we want gas to come from Russia? Is that going to, when would they turn off the taps? Do we want oil from Libya or elsewhere? Or do we want nuclear power stations when we're not in an earthquake zone, so perhaps they're safer here?
Well, there are very strong concerns in Europe in particular, where anti-nuclear groups have called for referendums about the continuing use of atomic reactors. And leading the campaign is the French MEP Daniel Cohn-Bendit, and anti-nuclear groups like Sortir du Nucléaire, or literally get out of nuclear, where, it raises the questions of, the safety of those plants, and also in countries like France, where, 75% of energy is nuclear. And France runs 58, for example, it has 58 reactors in France, and the company, the state-controlled company, Électricité de France, EDF, is planning to open other plants in Britain, but also in Italy, and that is the concern.
Do you think, just we have 30 seconds left, do you think it's inevitable then that nuclear will be part of the mix despite what's happening in Japan?
Over the long term?
Over the long term?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
You think so? For this country?
Very much so.
I think
especially when it's very close to urban, centers, but also, we have legitimate reasons to be fearful of anything, including terrorism.
We need to know how to deal with consequences or tragedies like this when they happen. We are not thinking about that.
We'll leave it there. That's it for Dateline London for this week. We'll be back next week at the same time. Thanks for watching.